It's not Maui yet, but the Tar Heels are in action in Hawaii tonight or very early tomorrow.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's up? It's Friday, November 22nd, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. It's the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Really, thank you for making us your first listen or watch. And I want to send a special shout out to all the everydayers joining us, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel new customers. You can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win. Check it all out at FanDuel.com to get started. Hey, coming up today on Friday, I do want to let you know it's a two-show Friday. We've also got a full football show previewing the Boston College game tomorrow, as well as the weekend whip around. As per usual, Denoris Searcy joins me for that. Great Tar Heel defensive back, played for the Bills and Titans. Just, man, an absolute dude. I hope you're enjoying having him on, man. I know it's a blast. Where we're going on this show, though, is we're going to be talking Hawaii storylines, specifically like playing Hawaii, not like in totality, plus our Four Corners preview. The women are starting the Battle for Atlantis multi-team event tomorrow, so we'll look at that. And a quick reminder, right now as you watch this, I'm gone. My wife and I are gone with some family friends to just a quick weekend getaway leading into Thanksgiving. And so I've actually recorded this earlier in the week. So if there is any crazy news that broke between, like Wednesday through right now, it is not on here, and that would be why. So just to let you know that, which also means that we will not have a live reaction podcast to the football game tomorrow or after this Hawaii game tonight, which we wouldn't do anyway because it's so stupid late. And our bigger Maui preview, like for the whole Maui Invitational, is going to be on Monday's show, so get ready for that. And then the first Maui game against Dayton is late Monday night. So I thought we'd do this. It'd be super fun. Tuesday's show, we're just going to do as a live show on Tuesday morning. Won't that be cool? So anyway, if you're ready and available, you can check in on that. All right, let's get into this thing tonight. Carolina is playing Hawaii. Let's get into some storylines for it first. First off, I know a lot of people have been wondering, asking me about Ian Jackson and James Brown, who did not play in the American game last Friday with lower body injuries. They were officially listed by Carolina as day-to-day. My expectation, even at that point, was, look, this is just kind of precautionary. These guys, you're not, being listed day-to-day, if it was a lower body bad thing, it would not be day-to-day. We wouldn't hear that. And so my projection all along was that they would probably be ready for Hawaii. You just don't want to risk anything before a long trip like this where you need all your bodies. And in fact, that was true per Coach Davis in his pre-Hawaii presser. He said that they've both been full participants in practice and should be good to go for Hawaii. Here's another big storyline that I like about this game. This is now Carolina's second true road game in the first 4 games of the regular season. And that's even with playing the ACC-SEC Challenge at home this year against Alabama. It's a true road game at Kansas and now a true road game at Hawaii. That's great experience for this team. And don't forget, there was the true exhibition game at Memphis. So in some ways, you've already, after this game, you've played 3 true road games to get the season going. And that's going to do nothing but pay good dividends for the Tar Heels in the season-long format. Last year in the non-conference portion of the schedule, 0 true road games for Carolina. And not that I thought it hurt them. They did quite well on the road in ACC play. Thank you very much. But I do think that this can certainly help. So I'm encouraged. I was encouraged to see the Memphis game, how well Carolina did there. I was encouraged to see how much Carolina battled back against Kansas despite not winning. And I think they should be just fine in this game. And part of that is playing those 2 prior games. So this is a good challenge now and is going to be a good precursor to those ACC road games. As a reminder, another good thing about this game is it allows Carolina to play 32 regular season games instead of the 31 that everyone else gets to play. Because in the nitty gritty of the NCAA rule book, which I dug all into and nerded out on this summer when I kind of started figuring this out, if a team plays a true road game at an NCAA school in Hawaii or Alaska, that game does not count against your 31 game max, and you can just add it as an extra game. So Carolina, unlike most schools, is going to have 32 regular season games this year. So even though usually in the ACC you play 20 ACC games and 11 non-con games, Carolina actually has 12 non-con games. So that's a helpful bonus for them. And in general, I love Coach Davis playing this game. It does a couple things. Number one, aside from what we already said about just getting a true road game again, this is an opportunity for his team to get acclimated earlier than the other schools to the time zone, both from a jet lag standpoint of just like how physically tired you are, how confused your body is, and from a physical recovery standpoint, like doing the things you need to do to be ready to go, which you wouldn't be able to do if you just stepped off a plane the day before. And not that it's like, a 12 or 13 hour flight to Tokyo or something like that, but it's not nothing, man. I just did this flight this summer and it's long and it's hard. Now, part of that, I'm 40 years old, so that's difficult. But, this is a 5-hour difference from Eastern time zone to Hawaii time zone. And so to their body clocks, this Hawaii game, even though they're tipping off at 7:30 p.m. local time there in Hawaii, it's 12:30 a.m. to their body clocks Eastern time. And that first game against Dayton on Monday night, it's going to be really late as well. And so this is just, man, this is great to get your body accustomed to playing even before you actually play the games that you really, really want to win. Also, speaking of loving playing this game, I'm really grateful. Remember a couple years ago, Carolina, I guess it would be 2 years ago now, Carolina went and played PK 85. There was the 4 OT game against Alabama, and that game was a Sunday night. And then that Wednesday, they were at Indiana for the last ACC Big Ten Challenge. Quick turnaround, didn't even come back to Chapel Hill. For this game, you get Hawaii and then Maui, which ends on Wednesday, regardless of, first or eighth place. And then the Tar Heels don't play again until the next Wednesday when, funny enough, they host Alabama in the ACC SEC Challenge. And so nice to have that long stretch before playing again, coming back from the island, man. It's tough. All right, game details. Let's get right into this thing. Carolina at Hawaii tonight, November 22nd at 7:30 local time, as I just said, or Saturday, very, very AM, November 23rd. This is at Simplify Arena at the Stan Sheriff Center, which, funny enough, is where Maui Invitational was played last year. We'll get into that more at another show. But this is on Honolulu, on the island of Oahu. The game will be on ESPN2. The FanDuel line isn't out yet, but at Ken Palm, Carolina is favored by 15. Heels should take care of this one, but still, you got to go out and actually do it. And to that point, it's been a week since the Tar Heels played and hosted American. So, there could be some rust. Earlier this week, we looked at that of, hey, Carolina's had a couple slow starts, the Kansas game and the American game. Some of that is the layoff where you haven't played in a long time and you're still a team trying to figure yourselves out. That's the reality of it. And so I'm hopeful Carolina starts faster, but it might be that they don't. And so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. A couple things you need to know as we get to know the Rainbow Warriors. Here's what I want to tell you about Hawaii. Right now, they're undefeated, 4-0. They don't play again before the Tar Heels. And so 4-0 is going to be their record. Now, all 4 of those games have been at home and not against great competition, a non-D1 opponent to kick off this regular season, and then 3 teams outside the top 200 at Ken Palm. Weber State, 234. Although my body still quakes when I hear the name Weber State. Pacific is 261, and San Jose State is 279th at Ken Palm. So haven't really played much of any competition yet, but they've won them all. Right now, Hawaii is 177th at Ken Palm, 184th at Torvik. What's interesting about them is in this day and age where everyone's trying to get to the 3-point line and shoot a bunch, that ain't Hawaii. They do not either take or make many threes. Right now, 3-point shots account for 15% of their total points, which is 358th in the nation out of 364 teams. And beyond that, of the ones they are taking, they're only hitting 23.5% of them, which is 339th in the nation. So Carolina shouldn't be too worried about the Rainbow Warriors raining down too many threes about them. However, on the flip side of that, which you would imagine would be true, 56.8% of Hawaii's points come from two, which is 38th nationally. And they're making, you ready for this, as a team, 60.7% of their 2-point shots, which is 29th nationally. That's really good. So Carolina knows what it's going to need to defend. You almost want to say, like, hey, take some threes in this game. We're going to do what we can to wall you off inside. One of the things that Carolina has been really good at so far is forcing teams into turnovers. Tar Heels rate 4th in the nation in steal percentage. What's interesting about Hawaii is they don't commit many unforced errors. They are 39th nationally in non-steal turnover percentage. But so that's like unforced errors. But again, did you hear what I said? The Tar Heels might be able to force them into some turnovers because Carolina is 4th in the nation at steals, at forcing turnovers, not unforced errors that Hawaii is not great at. So we'll see how that kind of thing plays out. Let me tell you a little bit about their personnel before we get to our Four Corners preview. No Justin McCoy. He was on last year's team. How fun would that have been? But no, he's out. Hawaii has 4 players in double-figure scoring right now. They're led by big man Tanner Christensen, who has 17.5 points a game and 6.5 rebounds. Listen to this field goal percentage. Homie is shooting 76.5% from the field, literally all 2-point shots. Hasn't attempted a 3. He's 6'10", 265 pounds. So that's going to be a load for the Tar Heels to deal with inside. They're going to have their work cut out for them. They're going to have their hands full. But what I want to see the Tar Heel big men do, and we'll talk about this more in a little bit, is just run this dude ragged, run him around all night long. As for the other double-figure scores, you got Tom Beatty, who's a 6'5 guard, 12.3 points a game. I am not going to get this name right, but I'm going to attempt it. Jidis Nemixa, who is a 6'8 forward, 11.3 points, and Marcus Green, a 6'2 guard, who's averaging 10.3 points. Both of those guys have been coming off the bench, although Green did get inserted into the starting lineup in their last game due to an injury. Speaking of which, the starters for Hawaii are Tanner Christensen, the big man, Beatty, who we just talked about, Cody Williams, who's a 6-foot guard, Harry Rudliadeff, a 6'9 forward. I don't believe I got his last name right either. And it had been Akira Jacobs, a 6'10 forward. He has a foot injury. He missed their last game, and that's why Marcus Green was inserted, which is really interesting because with Jacobs in the starting lineup, they go pretty big. 6 foot, but then 6'5, 6'9, 6'10, 6'10 in the starting lineup. Without Jacobs, they go 6 foot, 6'2, 6'5, 6'9, 6'10, which Carolina matches up with almost like identically. That's very similar to the Tar Heels starting lineup outside of the 3 position where Seth Trimble would be shorter, but would have some advantages he could take there. So that's what you need to know about Hawaii and about this game, some storylines. I want to get to the Four Corners preview. What are we watching for from the Tar Heels? What do you need to know as a fan to get ready for this game and what you should be watching for? We'll talk about that in just a second. Right after I tell you about Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action. They got over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. And with that, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. I love how simple it is. Here's what you do. They give you a player's stat, and then you just pick more or less than that. And if you do that on at least 2 players given stats, you can get a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. So run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And I'm really grateful that one of the things they value is putting their members first. For example, all withdrawals are fast, they're safe, and they're secure. So when your picks hit, you can get your winnings in as little as 15 minutes. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't have to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. So for example, I've been joking all week long, man. I haven't seen yet from Prize Picks what Omarion Hampton's rushing total is going to be for Saturday, but whatever it is, give me the more on that because he's going to do it. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. It's time for the Four Corners preview. It's our ode to legendary coach Dean Smith. Number one, what is the Kade Tyson follow-up to kind of his breakout against American? I know when you think breakout, you're like, oh man, 20 points. It wasn't that, but man, he really settled in and did stuff. Now, I hope you listened to yesterday's episode with Coach Rob and I, where we talked about Kade Tyson and, with him seeming to emerge from his kind of slump to start the season, how can the coaching staff help keep pushing him forward into next steps? What I saw from him last Friday, more importantly than anything, was him seemingly looking a lot more comfortable in his skin and in his role and what he was doing from in the first to the second half of that game. First half, he was a little reticent to shoot. Second half, man, he was pulling the trigger like a madman. And that's what I want to see from Kade Tyson. They're not always going to fall, but they are going to fall because that shot is beautiful and it's repeatable, and I want to see it all the time. Now, I understand that what he did last Friday was against lesser competition in American, but sometimes that can be a good thing for you. It's almost like I'm a baseball guy and grew up playing baseball, went to school on a baseball scholarship. And one of the things I love about baseball is, let's say a player gets hurt or is having some struggles. A lot of times they'll just get sent down to the minor leagues to find themselves, or if it's an injury, to kind of work back into playing for them. And this is kind of an example of that. Like, Cade just wasn't there yet this season, but history and his track record says, boy, it's going to hit, because he is a career 40% three-point shooter and has done so both seasons of college. And so getting an opportunity against a lesser opponent allows him to just kind of get into the rhythm a little bit. It's like when you're struggling to shoot and you go through the free throw line, you just need to see the ball get through the hoop and then it starts opening up. Just getting some confidence, regardless of the opponent, is a good thing, because this young man is a good basketball player. So baby steps, and that's going to get you to where you want to be. I'm hopeful that what Cade did last week against American sets him up, not just for this American game, not just for Maui Invitational, but season long. But let's keep our eyes on how Cade does tonight and then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because Hubert Davis is going to need him. Number two in our Four Corners preview, one of the things you recall me saying about American is that they were a slow team. 300 coming into that game, at least 363rd in the nation out of 364 teams in adjusted tempo at KenPom. Now, adjusted tempo is a measure of how many possessions basically you average in the span of every 40 minutes, right? So some of that's extrapolated out. Well, look, Hawaii is not as slow as American, but they are slow. They're currently 319th in adjusted tempo. And so one of the things we looked at last week is, can Carolina exert their up-tempo desires against American? Can they get out and run and do what they need to do and get transition and fast break and make all that happen? Well, yeah, they were, and they did. Part of that is you're a more talented team, but some of it is it's much, one of the adages we always say in basketball, it's much harder to speed a team up than slow a team down. And so even against a less talented opponent, Carolina was able to do that, have their most fast break points of the season, have their highest percentage of total points come from fast break points, and some great stuff there. They jumped from 30th in adjusted tempo to 10th right after that game. So we're watching that again. Can Carolina yet again assert their will from a tempo standpoint? It's one thing to do it once. It's another thing to do it back-to-back against really slow playing teams. Carolina is averaging 74 possessions per 40 minutes. Hawaii, 67.6. That doesn't sound like that much of a difference, but it is when it comes to this. Number three in our Four Corners preview is the front court production. I want to see what these Tar Heels can do. We don't yet know if Akira Jacobs is going to play for Hawaii and make them a very big team that Carolina is going to have to go against. But we want to see this from the Tar Heels. Jay Wash coming off a career high 18 points against American. What's his follow-up, man? I want to see that from him consistently. It doesn't have to be 18 every time out, but 10 to 15 with 6, 8, 10 boards a game. And I'm ready to see this man hit a three. Hadn't hit one yet. And as I said recently, my bigger concern is that he's only had 2 3-point attempts. Let's get Jay Wash some more pick and pop opportunities, or however he gets them. Also with front court production, Jalen Withers, we've talked about how consistent he's been so far this season. Very proud of him, because that's what we said he needs. Like, if Jay Witt can just be consistent, doesn't have to set the world on fire, but has to do what is asked of him in his role. And so far this season, I believe he has been through 3 games, right? So small sample size, but you just got to keep stacking it and showing that you can do it. He's been shooting well from 3, been getting to the glass, been scoring well, has come close to has a double-double, came close, 1 rebound away from another one, and then had 7 and 7 in the last game, but 4 assists and no turnovers. Like, that's the kind of stuff he's got to do. Van Allen Lubin, Ty Claude, feels like they're going to be important in this game. They're grown man strength against, a team that's just trying to score a bunch of 2s. Man, you need that strength in there. And so I think we're going to need some front court production tonight. And I don't just mean scoring. I mean doing what they do to help the team win. And, as I said earlier with Christensen, big dude, can Carolina's bigs get the Hawaii bigs moving, whether it's just getting them out on the perimeter, whether it's involving them in pick and roll action, whether it's pick and pop, stretch out, make them come guard you on the perimeter. Make them move, man. Wear them out, whatever it is. 4th in our 4 corners preview of this game. It's time for RJ Davis to have a game. We talked about RJ yesterday on the show as well with Coach Rob. Again, I hope you checked that out. What's interesting is that RJ is still, even with kind of the, not funk he's in, what's maybe a better word I'm looking for? The slump, just kind of a mini slump. Again, it's a smallish sample size, but he's not been shooting well yet this regular season. What's interesting is he's still Carolina's leading scorer at 17.7 points a game, but it's been a very inefficient 17.7 points a game. I mean, he's needing 15 shots to get there. On average, he's taking 15 field goals a game. He's shooting just 31.9% from 3. Or excuse me, from the that would be bad. He's shooting 31.9% from the field, from 2 and 3 combined. Just 20% from 3. That's not where RJ is going to go. We fully expect that to go up. There's going to be regression to the mean, which is much better than that. And there are some encouraging signs along with that. What I really love about RJ Davis is that even though that the shots aren't falling at the rate and at the level he would want them to, he's still taking them, which I think is important. But also he's finding other ways to impact and affect the team. You know how strong Carolina's free throw shooting is early part of the season. I mean, they're just setting the world on fire. And a lot of it is the 3G starting lineup of Elliot, Cadeau, RJ Davis, and Seth Trimble. RJ right now is shooting 90% on 6.7 attempts a game at the free throw line. Man, you're definitely going to take that from him all the time. Also, with RJ, and maybe I kind of even love this almost more. He right now is averaging a career high 4.7 assists a game and a career low 1.0 turnovers a game. So you think it's all about Elliot, Cadeau, and assist? I love that RJ's getting in on it too. And man, the combination of the two of them could be unstoppable this year. So RJ, finding other ways to help his team. And I think that's really important. So it's going to get there, but I would love to see it tonight against Hawaii before the actual 3-game stretch against Maui, because Carolina is going to desperately need RJ Davis in that setting. Well, folks, the men aren't the only ones at a fun location right now. The women start the battle for Atlantis Women's Edition tomorrow down in Atlantis. We're going to get you ready for that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about ZBiotics, which is the pre-alcohol probiotic drink that's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. And it's that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough day you have the next day. So what pre-alcohol does is produces this enzyme to break down that byproduct in your gut. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, stay hydrated, and you're going to feel the best you can tomorrow. It's a great thing to do. Again, drink pre-alcohol, man, but for best results, make it your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, get a good night's sleep. So if you want to find out more, go to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Locked On College at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege at checkout for 15% off. This episode is also brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers at FanDuel can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all right there in one place. So maybe you get a hunch in the middle of the game. You can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. It ain't Maui yet. As I said, tonight's at Hawaii, but then they go over to the island or go a little bit over to the island of Maui for Monday, where they'll kick things off. Here are the Maui odds to win the whole championship. UConn leads the way at plus 170, then Auburn plus 310, Carolina at plus 400, and Iowa State rounds out that top four at plus 430. Three of the four teams all on Carolina's side of the bracket there. Yeesh. So go check that out and more. There's the Battle for Atlantis odds, Wooden Award odds, Final Four, all sorts of stuff at FanDuel.com. You can go check it all out right now. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Well, the Tar Heel men might be in one exotic location in Honolulu right now and then moving on over to Hawaii. But the women are following what the men did last year down in Atlantis in the Bahamas, playing in the Battle for Atlantis, but it's the women's version of that. So what I'm actually going to do as we get going here, I got the bracket ready for you. Oh, yes, I do. And we're going to pull it up here so you can see it in real time as I talk about it. So the teams, as you can see there on Carolina's side of the bracket, it's Carolina versus Ball State. And then the other game is Texas A&M against Villanova. On the other side of the bracket, it's number 18 Baylor against Southern Miss, and then Indiana against Columbia. So just two ranked teams in this event, actually, Carolina and Baylor. As for the games for the ladies, they will kick off tomorrow, Saturday, against Ball State from Indiana at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Unfortunately, this thing is on Flow Hoops, which it's like you got to pay a subscription for, and it's a whole thing. So good luck finding that. Boo is what I say. Ball State currently actually 4-0 with wins over Old Dominion, over IU Indy, over Memphis, and over Northern Iowa. And that game was at Northern Iowa. So a couple good wins early for Ball State. Pretty strong on the glass and blocking shots. They're, top 50-ish in that regard. They're scoring 80 points a game, are the ladies. And so Carolina, that kind of prides themselves on their defense, is going to be tested against this. Their leading scorer is guard Allie Becky. Listen to everything she's doing for this team. Yes, she's their leading scorer, 16.8 points a game, but also 7 boards a game, 6.3 assists a game, 3.8 steals a game, and a block a game. I mean, homegirl is doing everything. So Carolina needs to shut down Allie Becky in a big way. Game 2 is going to be on Sunday for the Tar Heels, either against Texas A&M, who's 3-2, not off to a great start. They lost to Texas A&M Corpus Christi, or Villanova, who is 2-1. They've beaten Wake and Columbia, and they've lost at Princeton. So that's kind of what Villanova has done. And we'll see which one Carolina plays. And then game 3 on Monday is against the other side of the bracket. As I said, the best team on that side right now is Baylor, who is ranked 18th in the country. They're 3-1. Their only loss is at Oregon by 2 points. You can certainly live with that. But it's weird because their wins are all against like low major opponents all out of the Southland Conference. So a little bit of a mystery of what Baylor actually is, but we'll hopefully find that out on Monday in the championship round. As for Carolina specifically, a couple things I'm watching for was really encouraged Friday. I know it was a tough loss to UConn, but to see them get a couple players back, India Navarre it was like her first action of the season and inserted right into the starting lineup by Coach Banghart. So that was encouraging and led the team in scoring in that game. Maria Gakdeng had been out for like a game and a half or whatever it was. Great to see her get back against UConn and in the starting lineup. They will have had over a week off since that game. So hopefully she's had time to continue to recover as India Navarre. It sounds like Kayla McPherson's not quite as close to getting back yet. So we'll keep monitoring that as well. But as you think about playing in a multi-team event where you got 3 games in 3 days, man, that kind of depth for the Tar Heels having Navarre back, having Gakdeng back is so critically important. And I love that Coach Banghart likes to play a lot of players. As you look at minutes per game so far for this team, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players averaging double-digit minutes. And so that's really encouraging for the Tar Heels. And you hope they continue to use that, which no doubt Coach Banghart will do so. And so, I say getting depth back with Navarre and Gokdang, but honestly, they're both starters. So it's not getting depth back. It's getting 40% of what, at least right now, is your starting lineup back. What I love about this opportunity for Carolina is just the early season opportunity to really start figuring out who you are, set some rotations, figure out a lot about who this team is. What is going to be our identity? Yes, we've got some senior experienced players in Alyssa Utsby, in Lexi Donarski, other ladies, just bringing that experience. But you got some really young talent, and this is a moment for all of that to come together. I feel like you got lots of players on this team capable of doing damage, and it can come from a lot of different places, but I want to see it happen, and this is a moment for that. It's a moment for the freshmen and redshirt freshmen to really step up, Sierra Toomey, Blanca Thomas, Layla Hull, Lainey Grant. Like, let's see them really start to own things. And I think that the upperclassmen are going to want to encourage them in that. And obviously the coaching staff is as well. Honestly, some of what might be the most important about this event is the unity and bonding that happens on a trip of this variety, where it's just you and the team and you're gone. And I mean, I know there's family and friends around as well. I hear that, but really it's about you. You're out away from class, off campus, and man, just able to focus in on you for the duration of this trip, including not just the 3 days, but the days before and after that are part of that. Because it is a business trip, but it's also a trip where you're going to experience some really neat things, and those are going to be markers in the life of this team. They're going to be the things that they text about, 10 and 20 years from now when they look back on the 24-25 season. And so very excited for the ladies for that reason. But even bigger than that, Carolina very well could go 3-0 in this event. I feel like we are still trying to figure out exactly who these Tar Heels is, which is why I said, like, this is a great opportunity to figure out identity and rotations and stuff like that. But man, I think they have the talent and capability to win this whole blessed thing and really set themselves up for good long-term success this season. I know the team is disappointed coming off the loss to UConn, as are all of we, right? We wanted to win that game. But I think you have some lessons learned from that game, and now it's time to really get going. What do we take away from that, and how do we push forward and just go dominate Atlantis? So I'm really excited to see them hopefully take advantage of that starting tomorrow down there against Ball State. All right, guys, that does it for today's show. Just a quick reminder, there was a full another show today where Denora, Cersei, and I previewed the Boston College game that Carolina's up there in Chestnut Hill to play the Eagles tomorrow, looking to go 7-4 on the season and keep this winning streak going. What's Omarion Hampton going to do next? Nobody knows, but that'll be great. As also a reminder, no live postgame after that one, nor after the Hawaii game tonight, but we will have a live show Tuesday morning, not Monday night, after the Dayton game on Monday. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to do that. If you haven't subscribed to the show on video and audio, make sure you do that so that you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. Man, we have an absolute blast here on the show, and you don't want to miss out either. Speaking of missing out, if you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, man, you are missing out on that. We'd love to have you come join us. It's free to join. The link is in the show notes. Now, if you want to go even deeper with our show and in relationship with me, you can do that on the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program. The link's in the show notes. It's a great thing to join. You get extra perks, and it helps support the show and what we're doing to grow this thing. Man, I love our show. I love this community, and I'm so glad. And I do mean our show. This is not my show. This belongs to all of us, all of you listening and watching. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again on Monday to get ready for Maui Invitational Day 1. But until then, peace.